Love has a strange talent for making fantasies feel real. When I married Diana, I was convinced I'd found the one person who truly understood me. I believed what we shared was immovable, something rare and resilient, the kind of bond that wouldn't fade like others did. I wrapped myself in the belief that we were different, that our connection was deeper, more durable. And for a long time, I held fast to that idea. I wasn't someone who gave my heart away freely. I measured my emotions carefully, with intention. But with Diana, it felt different, like she was the exception to every rule I'd made. From the start, she pulled me in without trying. Her laughter was magnetic. Her presence lit up even the dullest moments. She was bold, full of life. And when she looked at me, it felt like nothing else existed. I gave her everything. She became the center of my universe. Every goal, every dream, every plan began to revolve around her. I made compromises, sometimes in small, quiet ways, other times in major, life-altering ones, just to keep her smiling. If she needed comfort, I was there. If she wanted something, I made it happen. And for the longest time, I believed she was doing the same for me. But looking back now, the truth is impossible to ignore. She never made me her priority. She simply enjoyed being the center of mine. And it wasn't sudden. People always assume love dies in dramatic explosions, but sometimes it just fades, slowly and quietly. Relationships don't always break apart with yelling or betrayal. Sometimes they wear down piece by piece, like water slowly eroding stone. And one day, you wake up surrounded by fragments of what you thought was forever. The signs were always there. Diana never gave back what I gave to her. I put thought into every date, every surprise weekend getaway, every gift, tiny tokens to remind her how much she meant to me. Her response was always the same, a faint smile, a quiet, thanks. She never gave that energy back. If something better came along, a dinner invite, a spontaneous outing, she'd cancel our plans without a second thought. I told myself it was just her nature. She wasn't cruel or overtly distant. She still kissed me goodbye in the morning. She still said, "I love you." But love isn't just words, it's presence, it's showing up. And her actions told a story I didn't want to read. There was no breaking point filled with shouting or slammed doors, no explosive argument, just a still, ordinary evening that quietly rewrote everything. A regular Tuesday dinner. I'd spent the day buried under meetings, chasing deadlines, fueled by coffee and adrenaline. But I came home excited. I had good news. A project I'd been pouring myself into for months had finally broken through. I was proud, and I wanted to share that pride with Diana. I thought she'd be happy for me. I thought it would matter. I was wrong. She sat across from me, aimlessly nudging food around her plate, eyes fixed on her phone. I spoke with hope in my voice, trying to pull her in. "If this goes through," I said, "it'll be huge. 6-figure commissions, the biggest win of my career." Nothing. Her gaze stayed glued to her screen, her face dimly lit by its glow. Her thumbs kept tapping. She was somewhere else, far away from the table, and from me. "Diana," I said softly. She mumbled something, barely audible. Then a laugh, not at anything I said, but at whatever was happening on her screen. She smiled, fingers moving quickly as she typed. Her attention was fully locked into a world I wasn't part of. I stopped mid-sentence. I waited. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Still, nothing. Eventually, she looked up. "Sorry, what were you saying?" she asked flatly. I let out a breath. "You didn't hear any of that, did you?" She sighed, finally locking her phone. "Anthony, I was just checking something. You always make a big deal out of everything." I stared at her. "A big deal?" She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "Why does everything always have to be about you?" A dry, bitter laugh escaped me. "Funny, because for years everything's been about you." She rolled her eyes. "Not this again." When's the last time you did something for me, Diana? When's the last time you planned anything for us? Made me feel like I mattered to you? She shook her head, clearly annoyed. You're being dramatic. It's not that deep. I don't need to prove things to you every day. I waited for more, for something that would tell me I was wrong. But all I got was a shrug. Then she said it, plain, emotionless. You're just not my priority anymore. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. I nodded once, pushed my chair back. Okay, I said. That was all. No fireworks, no begging for one last chance, just the cold clarity of truth. I stood, carried my plate to the sink, rinsed it, dried my hands, and walked upstairs. She didn't follow, didn't call out, made no move to fix what had just shattered. Later, lying in the dark beside her, I turned to look at the woman I'd once thought I'd grow old with. I searched my mind for the last time she'd made me feel truly loved. But there was nothing, and that silence inside me told me everything I needed to know. I knew with absolute clarity what had to be done. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm had a chance to break the silence. Diana was next to me, still deep in sleep, her breath soft and steady, like serenity had never left her side, like she hadn't spent years gradually pushing me away until I was little more than a background figure in her world. I lay still, eyes fixed on the ceiling, the weight of everything we were, or weren't, settling heavily on my chest. Then I turned my head and looked at her. This was the same woman I had once been certain would be my forever, the one I had given my whole heart to without hesitation. Her features were unchanged, but something deeper had shifted. Or maybe it had always been this way, and I was only now willing to acknowledge it. I exhaled slowly. I wasn't going to hesitate anymore. I wasn't going to cling to the hope that one day she'd wake up and realize what we had was worth fighting for. I slipped out of bed, got dressed without a sound, and picked up my keys like it was any other weekday. Like I was heading to work, like I'd be back by dinner. But I wouldn't be. Instead of going to the office, I drove straight to a law firm. I'm here to file for divorce, I said. The words felt foreign coming out of my mouth, but somehow, they fit. I didn't try to talk myself out of it. I didn't ask her to change. I simply made a choice and moved forward. We went over the essentials, the house, the bank accounts, the possessions. I was clear about my boundaries. I wasn't going to walk away empty-handed. By the time I stepped out of the office, the wheels were already in motion. It was done. There was no going back. When I got home that afternoon, the place was quiet. Diana wasn't around, probably out enjoying her day, maybe having coffee, laughing with someone, completely unaware of the shift that had begun. I took my time. I walked to the bedroom, pulled a suitcase from the closet, and started to pack. Item by item, I removed myself from the life we had built. Shirt by shirt, photo by photo, I gently dismantled my presence in that space. There was no anger in it, no bitterness, just a steady resolve. By the time I zipped the bag closed, the room already felt different, like it had never truly belonged to me. I went into the kitchen, took off my wedding ring, and set it softly on the counter. The quiet clink it made felt far louder than expected. Then I reached into a drawer, grabbed a pen and a pad, and scribbled down one line. If I'm no longer your priority, then you're no longer mine. I placed the note next to the ring, took a final glance around the kitchen, and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. I just kept moving. That night, I checked into a hotel expecting a wave of emotion to crash over me. Remorse, grief, maybe even doubt. But instead, all I felt was relief. And Diana? She unraveled. It wasn't long before the phone wouldn't stop buzzing. One call after another, message after message. Anthony, how could you do this? Are you seriously leaving? What's wrong with you? You think you can just disappear? I'll make sure you lose everything. I didn't respond. 2 days later, she was served with the official documents. That's when the real chaos began. Her first move was to play the part of the wounded party. Friends started calling, confused and worried. "She says she didn't see it coming," Rick told me during a call. I let out a dry, empty laugh. "Didn't see it?" "She told everyone you blindsided her," he added. "That you walked out without warning." Classic Diana, twisting the facts to suit her version of the story. But I had no interest in correcting her. I wasn't going to waste energy defending the truth. Once the sympathy act fell flat, she shifted gears. Her messages turned sharp, bitter. "This isn't over. You'll regret this. You won't walk away clean, Anthony." She wanted it all: my savings, the house, the car. But what she didn't expect was how ready I was. My lawyer had ensured everything was protected before I even left that morning. My money was secure. My assets were safeguarded. She had no leverage. "If she wants the house," I told my attorney, "she can buy out my share." But she couldn't, and deep down, I knew she never would. As the case dragged on, I began putting the pieces of my life back together. I moved into a new apartment. Nothing flashy, but it was mine. A space untouched by resentment, free from the echo of old fights and quiet disappointments. And for the first time in years, I started choosing myself. I hit the gym again, booked trips I'd long postponed, reconnected with old friends I'd let drift away while trying to keep Diana happy. Then, one evening, I met Layla. It wasn't a movie scene, no dramatic spark or sweeping declarations, just two people chatting over coffee. We bumped into each other at a cafe, struck up a casual conversation, and something clicked. There were no games. I didn't have to wonder where I stood. She was real. We didn't rush into anything. I wasn't looking for another commitment, and she respected that. But with time, things grew deeper. And unlike Diana, Layla showed up, in every way. When I spoke, she listened, not just to respond, but to understand. Whenever I brought up an idea or made a suggestion, her face would light up with sincere excitement. On the days when work had drained every ounce of my energy, she would check in, not to ask for favors or attention, but simply because she genuinely cared. For the first time, I didn't feel like someone's fallback option. I felt wanted, deeply, unmistakably chosen. As the months passed, the divorce that had stretched on finally came to its bitter end. Diana had been relentless, convinced she could strip me of everything. But when the final decision was handed down, and it was clear she wouldn't get the house, wouldn't touch my savings, and would walk away with far less than she had schemed for, I caught the look in her eyes, that flash of dread, that sinking realization. After all her efforts to destroy me, she'd only succeeded in unraveling herself. When I walked out of the courthouse, a quiet satisfaction settled in me. And standing just outside, under a cloudless sky, was Layla. Her gaze met mine, warm and steady. I crossed the distance between us and wrapped an arm around her waist. "Is it done?" she asked softly. "It's done," I said. She leaned in and kissed me, slow and sure, filled with a silent understanding. That was the moment Diana shattered. "You bastard!" Her voice cracked through the air like a whip. Before I could even react, she was storming toward us, her face twisted in fury. Her eyes locked onto Layla, and in a flash, she lunged. Diana's hand gripped Layla's hair and yanked her backward. "Keep your filthy hands off my husband, you slut!" she screamed. A security guard nearby moved fast, pulling Diana away as she flailed violently. Layla stumbled but kept her footing, eyes wide with shock. I stepped between them, shielding her from the outburst that had exploded around us. Diana thrashed in the guard's grasp, her face flushed and tear-streaked. "You don't get to replace me," she screamed. "You think you can erase everything we had? Everything I gave you?" I held her gaze, calm and unshaken. "It's over, Diana," I said, voice low. "Let it go." She stopped, breath hitching mid-sob. And in that split second, something cracked behind her anger. Not just rage, something else. fear. She finally understood I wasn't coming back, that she had lost me for good. More time passed. Diana disappeared from my life like a vanishing shadow, once overwhelming, now barely present. Not long after, Layla moved in. It didn't feel rushed or reckless. It felt natural. She blended into my world seamlessly, in every way Diana never could. There were no battles, no suspicion, no constant pressure to earn affection. Everything with Layla was peaceful, easy. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. As for Diana, I'd occasionally hear fragments from mutual acquaintances. She dated a few people, but none of them stuck around. Even the friends she once prioritized above me had seemingly moved on, tangled in their own lives. The house, the one she had clawed and fought to keep, ended up being sold. She couldn't buy out my half, so we put it on the market. She walked away with much less than she had once demanded. Maybe I should have felt sympathy, but I didn't. These were the consequences of her choices. She had to face them. Then, one night, while I was drifting between wakefulness and sleep, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. Layla lay curled against me, her breathing slow and even, the steady rhythm of someone safe and at peace. I was just about to let sleep take me when the vibration came again. I nearly ignored it, but something told me to look. I reached for my phone and blinked at the screen. One message. From Diana. I paused, then opened it. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please, take me back. That was it. No accusations, no anger, just a final, fragile plea soaked in regret. I read it twice, then deleted it. No response, no hesitation, no trace of doubt. Because not everyone deserves a second chance. And as for me, I had finally found the quiet, lasting peace I'd been searching for all along.